Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa mga batang manonood.
Warning. The following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Darkness falls on the palace. Ghost stories from Malacañang. Darkness falls and ghost stories from Malacañang. Everybody who works for Malacañang Palace and its ground known it to linger past 5 p.m. It is reluctant to do overtime. Government has no such provision for rank and file employees, or a desire to catch the shuttles that office of the president offers to those who wish to avail to their roads to each compass point of metro. Rather, this habit has got most to do with psychic survival. See, Malacañang Palace has stood for more than 140 years, which also means more than a century of ghosts past inhabiting the structures along Jose P. Laurel Street. Stories from these unwelcome guests abound in pages. There's the famous headless guard captured in a photo beside the presidential Christmas tree, Mr. Brown, or Malacañang's resident capper, as described by Presidential Museum Guide Louis Esquivel in an interview with the Philippine star Tanya Tilara. And the rest of the president's past still about their noble service to the public, like the ghost of President Manuel Quezon spotted by Jaime Marcos. Paranormal researcher and author Jaime Licauco has declared in a press interview that in 1982, then the President Ferdinand Marcos asked him to go to Malacañang to ask him about paranormal activities and faith healers. President Quezon, Laurel, Osmeña, Rojas, Quirino, Magsaysay, Garcia, Macapagal, Marcos, and Arroyo have all resided in the palace with its huge sprawl of 9,000 square meters and 90 rooms, including the bathrooms. The USA White House is just approximately 5,000 square meters. The main palace house itself has been exorcised not once but twice, stated historian Ambet Ocampo. A lot of stories came from the children of the Marcoses, not surprising since they lived in the palace for 20 years. After he was elected, President Duterte said he would not sleep with the palace ghosts, citing the palace creepy ambience. Nandun lahat ng multo na dumaan sa Pilipinas, maglalakad sila, magkukomprensya, edi sila doon, to count past tense naman tayo. They're still there and sometimes they hold a conference. Well, let them, President Duterte said on May 2016. Here are some first-hand accounts of ghostly sightings and supernatural experiences from house who work in Malacañang. Musical chairs. Chairs, especially swivel chairs that are normally issued to heads of department, are easy game for the poltergeist. At any given time, you can see swivel chairs slowly moving left to right, and swivel chairs being pulled or pushed out the place. Sometimes you just leave to go to the bathroom for a minute and then come back with your hair out of place without anybody have touched it. Narrates Leslie Raum. Eaten by fear. There was heard a crackling of chicharron in the other room, the pantry. As a cabinet assistant secretary was working late, "Hey, let me have some please," he shouted. He heard the chewing clearly again and again. He was frustrated that nobody was answering him. Pretty soon, he stood up and went to the pantry and discovered that he was all alone. He packed up his laptop and got the hell out of there. The hangman. It is said that the public servant hung himself in one of the director's offices. This was said to be during the Marcos era. On the third floor of the Mambini Hall, the staff found him the next day. The past administration had a couch in that refurbished office. Everybody who took a nap on a couch would consistently have nightmares, from bad to extremely horrifying. Cafe Hell. There is former place of slaughter that was transformed into a cafeteria in the basement of the NEB building. During the Aquino administration, it was once billeting place for the Japanese that was eventually set on fire when it was attacked. The atmosphere is so thick with weirdness and dread and hurt that nobody wants to eat there. Strange lighted things. Long corridors dominate most of the buildings, and it's the same in Mabini Hall. Sometimes the light will turn off one by one as you walk down the corridor, just like the horror movies. Whenever this would happen, it would prompt people to start praying, asking the entities to stay put and not follow us home, exclaims Lydia Belay, the young one. Even in the newly renovated restrooms of Malacañang, the sound of water's dripping can make the hair your neck stand on its end. Tales have been circulated before a child occupying the stalls, waiting for you to see his ashen face before he disappears into thin air. Sightings of every young guest are common in the old buildings with the palace grounds, but witnesses say these children bear no ill intentions, just juvenile need to be noticed. Horrid steps. At 6 a.m., all set for the team building was treated in the conundrum as they held open the elevator room to Phantom's footsteps. Two of their office mates were running closely behind them, and when they saw nothing but themselves on the office mirror walls, these four girls, which includes the author Pau Hernandez, were telling each other, "Where are they? We heard the running, right? We have to get down fast." Between these phantom sprinters and floating beheaded guys said to roam the halls, the employees of Malacañang are better off walking in cluster to fend off unwanted company. There to stay. Horror stories have accumulated with every sitting president, but it was during the term of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo that people in the palace experienced particularly memorable sightings. Witnesses recalls one of the Arroyo's generals suddenly going stiff with fear. This uniformed man with stars on his shoulders told those around him, "There's our Katipunero walking down the hall." It was, however, a time of tragedy when the people of Malacañang felt the pang of horror. 7 of their own had just flown to their deaths. Their bodies had been brought and honored at the grand reception of Heroes Hall. It was during the wake of that guest and the stab heard the wailings of a man and a woman, voices of burdened souls tied to the Malacañang's haunted halls.